As some of you already know, my husband and I have 4 dogs. There's Pete, he's the oldest, pushing 18. He's arthritic, he's blind, he loves to eat, he has never been sick in all of that time. When he was a puppy, he had a little tummy disorder for a little while, but that got cured. Otherwise, all these years, never sick. Willie, also pushing 18, has a few issues. He has a kind of a lung thing. He coughs. It might be might have a heart problem. He might have pneumonia. Who knows? But he's on antibiotics and some heart medication. He's doing pretty well. Dixie is pushing 17, and she is the pistol of the bunch. She's always been the pack leader. She's the only girl, and she also has some problems. She's on antibiotics, kind of for a chronic condition, and there's some ups and downs with her. And then there's Maurice, who's 11, and he doesn't have any problems at all. He did lose some of his 2 front teeth, so maybe he's spread himself for Christmas and would love to have all he wants for Christmas is his 2 front teeth. But otherwise, he's a very fit, healthy, wonderful 11-year-old dog, which is old for some dogs, but for him, it's barely even in the middle age. But with the 3 older dogs, there's always this challenge of when is the end going to come? And Keith he's sitting over here and thinking, why do you even have all these dogs? This is crazy. This is, well, why does anybody do anything? Because it's interesting, because it keeps you occupied, because you love it, because you relate to the dogs, the people, the event, the activity. And I have always loved dogs. I've always lived with dogs from when I was born. We already had a dog in the family. And I've only for a brief time in college not lived with a dog. So I'm definitely a dog person, and I'm willing and able to take all of the challenges. But some of the hardest challenges in dog ownership are the end-of-life challenges. And you think, well, it's pretty clear-cut. If a dog doesn't have quality of life and there's no possibility of getting better, then there is an option. You can have the dog euthanized. And if they can get better, and if they do have good quality of life, and you're having a good time with them in your life, then it's worth putting the effort into keeping them as healthy and comfortable as you can for as long as you can. It seems like a pretty good formula. But when you have 3 aging dogs all at the same time, and they're all presenting with certain kinds of problems, sometimes you think, what happened here? But I had this pack of rambunctious, crazy terriers, and now they're old and not so rambunctious, and problems, and it costs money, and what to do. It's very complicated. Well, pretty much, again, I'm up for the task. I love these dogs. I do what I need to do, and I'm learning things about me. I'm learning things about the dogs every day. So now we have Thanksgiving. And although we didn't have Thanksgiving at our house, somehow we made it home with a wishbone. And the wishbone went onto the kitchen counter. And I meant to throw it out. I meant to make a wish and toss it, but it was on the counter. And then it disappeared. And I assumed what happened is it fell on the floor and one of the dogs ate it. And for those of you who know about poultry bones in dogs, sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it can cause a really big problem, including death. And I assumed that the dog who had gotten the bone and eaten it was the young, healthy one. And I thought, oh no! I have 3 older dogs who are all circling the drain one way or another, and one good, healthy dog, and he's eating a bone, and I might lose him. And so, of course, I'm out with the flashlight when he's going out to the bathroom out in the dark, and trying to see if there's any problems. Anyway, he passed for a few days, and it was okay. He had a little stomach upset, but no real problem. Again, a few more ups and downs. This is all since Thanksgiving. And then yesterday, out of the blue, the oldest dog, who has never been sick, all of a sudden he started bleeding. Now, I figured out fairly quickly that he was bleeding from one of his back toenails. Just the toenail was bleeding. Something had happened to his toenail. And you would think a toenail, how can a toenail bleed? Well, it was bleeding. He bled all over the house. And and he was in pain. And I had some pain medicine that I'd gotten for another dog earlier on. I gave him the pain medicine, kind of knocked him out a little bit, looked at the thing, realized there wasn't anything that serious going on. Somehow he just broken the end of his nail and it was bleeding. But this made me think, okay, this is it. He's old and blind, and now his toe is bleeding. It's time for him to go to doggy heaven. So I had a talk with my husband. I said, I think it's time. It's hard, I know, but his quality of life really has kind of gone down. We know he's not going to get younger. And now his toe is bleeding. It's just, it's just like this is the end of the world. I think we really have to face this. Okay, my husband agreed. He was all conked out from the drugs I'd given him all day. It looked like he was in an irreversible coma. That's kind of a good place to make a end-of-life decision. And then later that day, we started making dinner. And I don't know, that being knocked out all day on pain meds must have done something to him, because it was like he was all full of life again. He was like Keith after he dumped all of his baggage. He ate his own dinner with great gusto, which he usually does. And then this morning when we, 5:45, when we took our morning walk, he came, and I was huffing and puffing, keeping up with him. He was like, had a renewed life. So that's a clue that sometimes what you think is true isn't always true. But there's one more thing I want to leave you with, and that is that as I was then chopping up pills for the other dogs, sometimes the pills fly. I have to cut the pills in half and they fly, and then I have to crawl down on the floor because they're expensive. I have to pick them up. And I was doing that. Down there was the wishbone. The dog hadn't eaten the wishbone after all. I had worried for nothing, and so it is with so many things in life. So, happy holidays.